So then we can try to reflect, contemplate. As much as we want our life to be just perfect, at the moment, it's not a perfect. We continue to experience conflict, problem, challenges, difficulty, time to time. And we are not the only one who is instead of situation where it is not perfect. Anyone who is in samsara, anyone whose mind is under the control of delusion, affecting emotions, not fully awakened, all of us are in the same boat, encountering a lot of challenges. And when we talk about life being perfect, it's not about changing the external things, but it's about changing inside, the mind. By trying to change external things, you can never reach to a point where everything is perfect. When it's hot, we wish it is cold. When it's cold, then we wish it is hot. When we don't have enough, we wish we have more. When we have more, that brings a lot of other problems. And we wish the life was much more simple, like before. When we are in a relationship, we feel kind of lonely and wish we are in a relationship. And when you are in a relationship, it comes with a lot of challenges, difficulties. And we wish we didn't have, we wish, we're not in a relationship. And so our life can never be perfected. On the other hand, if we really work with our mind, as we have less expectations, less desire, more contentment, less delusions, the more our life will be more perfect, regardless of external factors. And that is how the Buddha himself reached that perfect state. And perfect in his life, not by changing external things. External things continue to go around the way it is. One moment is raining, another moment is hot, another time is snowing. We can't change all of that. Plants grow, decay, regrow, so forth. Those can't, that is the nature of things. We can't change that. And the Buddha was able to find the perfect in his life by changing his mind, transforming his mind. And we also, if we want to have perfect in our life, that's the only way that we can really reach to that point where we feel perfect and not being influenced by the external factors. And in order to change inside, our mind, we need to practice through reflection, contemplation, meditations. And for that, we need to be reminded of the practices and continue to study, learn. And that is why we have come here together. And it is not enough just to study, learn, and be reminded, but we need to apply, implement as much as possible in our everyday life to really see some changes over the years. The moment there is some changes in our mind, our heart, the changes in external things, situations, circumstances, doesn't affect your mind negatively. Thereby we can find more peace. No matter what our external things are, situations are, more peace in our life. And things started to improve and started to become more perfect in our life, in our experience. So coming us together is not to just collect knowledge, but implement those knowledge into the experience. And may our act of coming together, listening to the teaching, engaging in discussion, so forth, become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully enlightened state, the most perfect state, so we can be most and greatest help and benefit to each and every sentient beings without any discriminations. And limitlessly, spontaneously, joyfully. Okay. To the founder, the endowed, non-standard destroyer, the one gone beyond, the four destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge, and it will conduct Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme guides of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, non-standard destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya clean, I prostrate, make offering and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all expect. With the supreme faith, I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous action. Perform only perfect virtuous action. Subdue your mind thoroughly. Truly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual appearations, a flame of a lamp, an illusions, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See condition things as such. Through this merit may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four of faults, and be delivered from the samsaric ocean perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. 사시베게 중심에도 다베라리시 인데겐반데 상계신도 미대오와 요근 남원다시 제바쇼 이담 구르라나 멘달라가니아타야. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Chodan Soke Sonam La Changju Badu Dani Geshe Chekawa Dola Pente Sangye Do Sangye Chodan Soke Sonam La Changju Badu Geshe Chekawa Dola Pente Sangye Do 간제 도제네 손에 다와 돈제 방배세 담배 춘이 땡저베 오담데 라차차로 so we have been going through this particular mind training text, which is called 7-point mind training, and within that there are 7 points, and the first point, training in the preliminary, we finished, and the second point, training into the practice of the conventional bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, and we finished the training in the conventional bodhicitta, and we are in the ultimate training in the ultimate bodhicitta or ultimate awakening mind, and within that there is a training during the meditative sessions and training during the post meditations when we engage into our other activities, how to bring that training that which we did during the meditation, the cushions, in that how we bring that practice meditation into our everyday life, in our every activities. And so in terms of the training, on the training, during the meditation, we kind of went a little bit, but maybe again, I wanted to kind of touch on that. First of all, we have to understand beneath or under the merely appearance world, there is a much more profound, ultimate world, and so there is two reality, the mere appearance, and beneath that mere appearance, what is beneath that mere appearance, the reality beneath that mere appearance. And due to not understanding that, due to believing just mere appearance, then we get, kind of misled, and then we get in the problems. So the mere appearance is, the conventional reality, but beneath that or beyond that, then there is another reality, the ultimate reality. And here, and so we have to understand both reality, and there is both reality within each and every object, within each and every phenomenon. And also we have to understand how not understanding or realizing that ultimate truth lead us to our conflict, our problems. And again, if we kind of look in our own life, most of our conflict, or all our conflict, our problems, issues, difficulties, challenges, feeling of kind of unhappy, miserable, where does that come from? It's something to reflect, contemplate, something to think about. Where does that come from? Why we have conflict? Why we are unhappy? Why we continue to have, a lot of challenges, lots of difficulties in our life, time to time. Even though there are, external causes, but it is not only the external factors or causes that is creating the conflict, that is creating our unhappiness, our miserableness, our problems, is our own state of mind. The external factors only play a very small role. Very small role. It is our own state of mind, our own dissatisfied mind, our own unhappy mind that is creating the main cause for our, unhappiness, miserableness, problem, conflict in our life. unless we change inside, just by changing external factors, it's not going to solve the problem. It can solve the problem for temporary, then again, you will be unhappy with that, you know. For example, just simple example, you know, down here in the city, you know, here is hot, and still I think we have had better, quite weather than maybe a week ago, some time ago, and it was very hot, but still during the daytime it's hot. You go to the mountain, it's more kind of more, what do you call, more cooler, and you have a little bit kind of relief from that heat, you know, kind of pleasant feeling of kind of coolness and relief from this heat. But once you started to stay there a little bit, and then the wind, and then coolness, you wish you want to go down. You know, whatever kind of relief you felt before is gone. Now it is another problem. And you start coming, and there is some kind of relief. Now you are free from the wind. It's not so cold, and a little bit feeling warm and protected. And then again, the heat comes. Again, you started to feel the heat. That is how it is. Every aspect of our life, happiness, is all from external factors. It's only give you very short period of relief or kind of joy. It doesn't really give you a lasting that if we rely on just the external. But if there is a change in our mind, then definitely, you know, no matter where you are, hot, cold, wind, no wind, raining, not raining, snowing, not snowing, you know, definitely it has some small effect on your body, you know, physical discomfort, a little bit of that, depending on our bodies and so forth. But in terms of inside, it wouldn't disturb you. It wouldn't make you so unhappy. And that is the key. The happiness or unhappiness, joyfulness in our life or miserableness in our life is mainly coming from inside, not from outside. It's very important to really realize that. If we don't really realize that, then our whole life, we have always been trying to change the external things all the time. Never trying to change inside, you know. And we continue to end up in same situation again and again. Why? Because we never try to change inside. We were trying to change outside. And by changing the external factor, just only by changing the external things and factors is not going to really solve the problem permanently. And so it is important to really realize that, and not only realize, deeply realize that. When we deeply realize that, then while we pay attention to the external factors, but we pay more attention to the internal factors. We cannot kind of neglect both. We also have to definitely try to take care of the external conditions as much as possible. But more than that, we have to take more care of the internal factor, the internal conditions. And if we've paid attention to the both, then definitely, you know, our life will be much more better, less conflict, much more happier. Most time we always, you know, whenever there is something problem, we always try to we always see it is coming from outside. And then we try to change that external conditions. There is nothing wrong with that, but we focus only that. We don't really try to work with the internal conditions. And that is the problem. We started to work both outside external conditions, internal conditions, then we will have much more better result. And so it is very important to realize that and recognize that and understand profoundly, deeply. So we started to pay more attention inside and trying to work with our own mind, you know. And then if we analyze what state of mind that is making us unhappy, what state of mind that is making our life miserable, what state of mind which is leading us to have conflict with ourselves, conflict with others, what state of the mind are making us, you know, creating a lot of problems, difficulties in our life, no matter with whom we are, no matter where we go, you know. And then if you kind of analyze on a more deeper level, then we understand, you know, what we call negative emotions or destructive emotions, or defilement, delusion, whatever you call them, those state of mind, such as attachments, anger, jealousy, pride, you know, those are the ones that is making us, you know, those are the mind which is making us unhappy. Those are the mind which is creating the conflict. And when we understand, realize that, then how does and why does those mind arises? You know, those defilements. How does those defilement arises? Why does those defilement arises? And if we go further, then it is, you know, our superstitious mind, or you know, our mind which kind of misinterpret things or exaggerate things, you know. Oh, you know, that person has been so mean, nasty in the past, and he continued to have a nasty, and he will continue to be nasty, and then all of that. Or, you know, if it's so then anger and hatred increases or arises and increases. And in terms of attachments, the same thing, the objects, our mind, you know, misinterpret, even it is not something beneficial, our mind thinks it is beneficial. Even something which we don't need, our mind says we need that. And even if something is beneficial, needed, then our mind say is more beneficial, more needed than it is. And then that gives rise to attachments and increase the attachments. That's where those attachments, anger, jealousy, pride, that is where it comes from, that mind, which kind of misinterpret things, objects differently, or they exaggerate the qualities in that objects. That makes our different state of the negative qualities or destructive emotions to arise and to increase. And then where does that kind of the mind that is kind of exaggerating, the mind which is kind of misinterpreting the object, and then again it comes from this, the appearance of that object, whether it is beautiful, whether it is pleasant or whether it's unpleasant, there's appearance that object to exist that way from its own side, objectively, and then our mind kind of believe the way it appeared to us and grasp that way. And from that, then that kind of interpretations comes. And so then it comes from that fundamental ignorance. The fundamental ignorance of not realizing the most fundamental or ultimate reality of the objects. It's important to understand all these evolutions within the mind, how one state of mind give rise to another kind of mind, and how that give rise to another kind of mind, and how that give rise to another kind of mind, and that is how then that mind make our life miserable, unhappy, and all this, conflict and problems. Mainly from that, we cannot deny there is some factors, contribution from the external factors, but those are very tiny, mainly from your own state of mind. Absolutely, and that is why realizing, understanding the ultimate reality is so important, because we have that understanding or that realization, then that can act as because that the wisdom that realizes the ultimate truth or reality totally contradicts that fundamental ignorance. And there are two opposing, contradicting inner forces or energies. And when you increase that through meditation and practice, when you increase that realizations, the stronger it becomes, the weaker the ignorance becomes. And slowly, as you increase that wisdom through meditation practice, it becomes more powerful, more stronger and stronger, and eventually it will totally overwhelm. It will totally kind of completely eliminate that fundamental ignorance. And when you eliminate and destroy that fundamental ignorance, then all this exaggerating mind, misinterpreting mind, this superstitious mind cease. When that ceases, then the attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, and all other negative emotion which arises due to that kind of misinterpreting or exaggerating mind, superstitious mind give rise to, that will stop. When there is no more those anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, and so forth, all these negative emotions, destructive emotions, there's nothing that bother your mind. And when there's nothing that bother your mind, there's nothing that make you unhappy, dissatisfied, frustrating, anxiety, fearful, all this, anxiety, fearful, frustration, all of them come those negative emotions. And then, then when your mind is calm, peaceful, all of that, and there's no more negative emotions, there's no reason to have a conflict with anyone. There's no reason to have any problem with anyone. It is different if they have problem from their side to you, it is their problem. But from your side, you have no problem. And that is the key. There might be people who might have problem from their side to us, to me, or anyone else. But as long as I don't have any problem from my side, I don't experience the pain. The moment I think I have a problem with that person, then I experience pain. When I see that person, I feel uncomfortable. When I hear of that person, I'm uncomfortable. When you come into face with that person, you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Why? Because in my mind, I have a problem with that person. The moment I feel I have no problem with that person's, doesn't matter he or she has problem with me or not, that is something they have to deal with, something they need to take care of themselves. But from my side, the moment I feel I have no problem, my mind is much peace, calm. I have no problem to hear about that person's. I have no problem encountering that person's. I have no problem engaging in the discussions without feeling any awkwardness, any uncomfortableness. And so therefore, you have no problem from your side. And that is the key, On the other side, from my side, if I have some problem with that person, even the person trying to be very nice, still, I still have uncomfortable, and you will have that uncomfortableness. And that will make, when you have that uncomfortable, then definitely, your mind is kind of disturbed and unhappy. And so I think it's very important to kind of understand and realize this relationship, the interdependent, the relationship, how from that fundamental ignorance to that very state that make our life unhappy, miserable, and that. Then we begin to appreciate and understand. Then we will appreciate why it is so important to study, learn, and have a realization, understanding of this so-called the ultimate truth or emptiness, whatever we call it. If we don't understand that connection, then we think, oh, it is just a philosophy, or this is for those academics who are interested in philosophy. We are not interested in, I'm not interested in philosophy, I'm not interested in academic. And then therefore I don't need it. And then you don't appreciate it and you don't feel you need it, and we don't try to understand and reflect, contemplate that due to not understanding that connections. So that is very, very important. Then when you understand that connection, then if you don't want problem, if you don't want suffering, you have no other options. It's not about, it is no options than to have that realizations. Unless you don't want to be free from your problems, you don't want to be free from your conflict, you don't want to be free from your miserable life and so forth, so then we have no other options. No matter how difficult it is, we have to try for effort to understand, to realization, because there's no other option. This is the only option. And to coming to that understanding is so important. Otherwise, otherwise we don't see the importance of that. And once we that see connection, then also we would be a better understanding when in many of those, scriptures, whether it's in the sutra, whether it's in a lot of Indian masters' commentaries, whether it's in the Tibetan master commentaries and so forth, when they try to explain the selflessness or the emptiness from the point of view with the many different reasoning logics, then we begin to see, how it works with that kind of reasoning logic. And when it is kind of that kind of reasoning logic, that kind of analysis, that kind of investigation, how we come to have an understanding of the ultimate truth, ultimate reality, or emptiness, and what it means. And and so as Nagarjuna, the great Indian scholar, sometimes known as second Buddha, within the Mahayana, all the Mahayana traditions. As he said, there is nothing that is not depending co-arising, and there's nothing that is which is not empty. So he explained, emptiness as a the meaning of emptiness in the form of dependent arising, the meaning of dependent arising in the form of emptiness, and to be able to see that both is the key. And to be able to see that. So all phenomena are dependent arisings. And understanding the dependent arisings is understanding the way things really are. At the same time, while all phenomena are dependent arising, at the same time, in their ultimate nature, they are also empty of truly or inherently existence. And so to be able to see that, the appearance and emptiness, not as something conflict, contradictions, but to be able to see them, appearance helping to understand emptiness, emptiness helping to understand appearance, and complementing, supporting each of that understanding. So then we find a middle way. So then through by finding the middle way, then we have then one will have the correct understanding of what it means by emptiness, understanding of emptiness or ultimate reality, ultimate truth. At the moment, a lot of time we are just being satisfied with the appearance. There's appearance and it affects us, it has certain functionings, but we don't try to go beyond the appearance to understand more deeply or beneath that, And that way of functioning, we have like in our everyday, like a lot of things, most of the things, that's how we do, we ordinary people, that is how we do, even in this case, I mean, yeah. I buy some kind of fruit, let's say apple from the stores, and I eat it, and it gives me some kind of delicious taste. It's supposed to be healthy for you. It kind of help you to overcome your hungerness, So that is the appearance. That is the functioning of that. It has certain impact, a certain result. But beyond that, I don't go to try and, behind where does apple come from, how it is grown, how it is, all of that. And sometimes when you go deeper, then you understand, some of those where they were giving this kind of what you call GMO to make it more bigger and fresh, and there is chemical in that. sometimes you see there's wax to make it my kind of shiny and that, you know, and all of that. So if you try to find beyond that appearance, what is going on, then you might be able to be more cautious and not just not beyond just the appearance. And then what is going on, then maybe when you buy, maybe you want to be more careful what you buy, what you eat. And so when you go a little bit more deeper to understand that, then it has a better, it helps us better. Because when you don't understand that there is a kind of chemicals, certain kind of chemicals, and there's all these kind of things, then just appearance, it looks beautiful, shiny, very nice, and all of that. And then instead of being helpful, maybe it might be poisonous, you know. And so, for example, that, and so that is why going beyond the appearance helps. And so when we talk about ultimate truth, of course, is much more, even more, much more deeper and going beyond that, you know. And so, yeah. So just to give a very simple example of that, you know, when you don't understand what is beyond or beneath or beyond that appearance, then it can misguide us, mislead us, cheat us, you know. And same here, you know, there is the relative world that is more like appearance, merely appearance world, and then beneath, beyond that, then there's ultimate truth or reality, and that need to be realized so that we don't get misled. So our mind does not get misled, and thereby we don't get misled by our misled mind. And so in terms of that, then I think, you know, even though the verses that we have been going, it doesn't kind of start explicitly about the selflessness of persons, but of course we start with the selflessness of the persons, you know, on the basis of, you know, our aggregates, you know. When my hand is sore, I say I'm sore, you know. When my mind is not remembering very well, you know, I say, oh, I can't remember very well, you know. When our mind is confused, we say I'm confused, you know. When our mind is, when our body is tired, we say I'm tired today. So on the basis of our aggregate, we say I'm tired. On the basis of how I feel physically, we said that is based on how we feel emotionally, mentally, and we said that's how I feel today. And that with that is fine in our ordinary world, and that is how it functions, and that is not wrong in ordinary world. That is how it functions, you know. To say I'm not feeling well because my body is not feeling well in our worldly, conventional world, that is just fine. It functions, and that is okay. But then not being satisfied with that, what is really persons? Then going more deeper. What is the person who is the I, me, or self, or persons who's experiencing those different experiences? Is my body aggregate? Is my mind aggregate? If we do that kind of, or is outside of that, then when we do that kind of analysis, you know, then there is nothing to really kind of find and pinpoint when we do that kind of what we call ultimate analysis or critical analysis, you know. But at the same time, you cannot say this, and we know, you know, we know the body is not me. We say this is my body, this is my mind, this is my feeling, this is my experience, at the same time, so therefore it's neither our physical aggregate, neither we can pinpoint outside of our aggregates, whether you can say this is me or I or self. You cannot find in any of the objects, you cannot find in the space of that so-called self, and so therefore, when you cannot find that with that kind of ultimate analysis, when you cannot find, then it's clearly that the person does not exist ultimately, inherently. So then, if it does not exist ultimately, does that mean it does not exist? No, it doesn't mean when through ultimate analysis, when you cannot find it, you cannot pinpoint it, you cannot locate it, then it shows that it's not ultimately existent. But at the same time, there is someone who is experiencing different experiences. That is our direct experience. We cannot deny that. And so then how does that, then next question comes, then how does the person or self, I exist? Then next comes the self, I person exist on the basis of I will get, then merely labeled by our mind as a self, I, on the basis of our aggregates coming together. And so that is, so I think that is, and that will be, so when you understand that, there's no ultimately existing self. There's no inherently existing self. There's no truly existing self. Then you have, less attachment to yourself. The more you feel they are ultimate, the more you feel they are truly existing, the more you feel they are real existence, the more we have clinging, grasping, the more clinging, grasping, more attachment. And then, and then everything is all about, then due to that attachment to self, then the whole world revolves around that. How to fulfill that attachment. And in order to fulfill that attachment of the self, then we go very far away, sometimes even to create a lot of pain and suffering and hurt to others in order to fulfill ourselves, our own attachment. So that is where it comes, through that. And so we try to meditate on that, contemplate, meditate, analysis. Through that kind of analysis, contemplation, we meditate. And then as some of the verse we went through, then we also tried not only the self, but all the external phenomena, your own physical aggregate, your own mental aggregate, and beyond your physical and mental, or your physical aggregates and all other external phenomena are also empty of truly existing, empty of inherently existing, empty of ultimately existence, with similar analysis, Then not only those external objects or external phenomena are empty of truly, inherently, or ultimately existent, but even the very mind which is analyzing, the very mind which is analyzing, the very mind which is observing or experiencing those objects, that mind itself is also empty of truly existing, inherently existing, ultimately existing, just like the external objects itself. Even that mind which is analyzing, the mind which is experiencing the external object, the mind which is perceiving that mind also cannot withstand the ultimate analysis. When you do same analysis, and therefore, and then not only the mind, even the antidote itself, even the antidote, the emptiness itself is also, even the emptiness, because that is the antidote. When you realize the emptiness, then we started to be free from the ignorance. When you don't realize the emptiness, then we start to misunderstanding of the reality, then we started to circle in the samsara. The moment you understand the emptiness, then we started to free from the samsara. And so emptiness is the key, is the antidote to free from the samsara, and to liberate from all the sufferings, all the negative emotions. And even that, the antidote itself, even the emptiness itself is not ultimate. Even the emptiness itself is empty of truly existing, infinitely existing, ultimately existence. Same way, when you do same analysis, even the emptiness itself cannot withstand that kind of analysis. And so then, and when you understand and realize, even the emptiness is empty of truly existing, inherently, then you started to have, liberations. It liberates your mind from clinging and grasping. Because what happens at the very beginning, there's a grasping to the persons. And then with that kind of analysis, meditations, we kind of weaken, dissolve, and let go of that grasping to the persons. So there is no more grasping to the person, but then we might start having grasping to the other external objects. Not grasping to the person, but maybe I might have grasping to this, grasping to the iPad. Then when you do same kind of meditation, same kind of contemplation, same kind of analysis, then again you're clinging and grasping towards the external objects, such as iPad, started to become more weak and subside and loosening up. And then you do with that, with all external, then there is no more clinging and grasping to that. But then you think, oh, the mind, what about the mind? Which is perceiving those external objects. And then again, even that mind is also, when you meditate and understand and realize, even that mind is empty of inherent existence, and that there's no more clinging and grasping to the mind. And so even though there's no more clinging and grasping to the mind itself, then we think, oh, the ultimate is the emptiness is the key for everything. The most powerful and key to the problems, key to release from the suffering and samsara. And then you think, oh, this is the ultimate. This is the most powerful. So therefore, it's the ultimate. So you can still have clinging and grasping to that, because you see it is so powerful, and this is the key to everything. And then even emptiness is also empty. And then there's no clinging and grasping to the emptiness itself. And then there's no object to cling and grasp now. There's no external, there's no person, there's no external object, there's no internal object, any of the mind, and there is not even the emptiness itself. And so when there is no more object for our mind to cling and grasp on, that the mind started to be released from clinging and grasping. And when mind started to kind of release from the clinging and grasping to any object, then that is where your mind started to become more liberated. Your mind started to become liberated, And then when our mind is, less clinging, grasping, more liberated, then the delusions which arises from that also started to weaken, loosen, and then through that, how we overcome that. And so I think kind of up to here, I kind of summarize what we have spoken last time, and a little bit. So yeah, we will have a short break. Okay. One question which asks, does the samsara manifest from Dharmakaya? They are not separate. They are dependent arisings. Dharmakaya, the term can be used differently in different contexts, and you often see in some of the different texts the way it is used, and especially in some different lineage as well. The way the term, the Dharmakaya, is used can be have a different meaning according to the context of it. Sometimes the ultimate nature of the mind is used as the term Dharmakaya for that, you know. And in that cases, you can say realizing the Dharmakaya is nirvana, and not realizing the Dharmakaya is samsara. Because whether you achieve nirvana or whether you remain in samsara, it depends on whether you realize the emptiness or not realize it. And so therefore, so in that point of view, and from that kind of context, you can say samsara is manifesting from the Dharmakaya in a sense that samsara manifests due to not understanding the Dharmakaya. And when you have that understanding, then it leads to nirvana, and nirvana manifested. Also, sometime you can also see sometime the most subtle mind, the clear light mind, the most subtle mind. Also, sometimes you see that also used as a Dharmakaya, and because that most subtle mind of our most subtle mind of that clear mind and Buddha's clear light mind, most subtle mind, there's no difference in that. It's same. You know, that in terms of that most subtle mind, there's no difference between the Buddha's, the nature of that mind in Buddha's and our same. And so sometimes that is also used as a term Dharmakaya. Sometimes you see in some scriptures that being used as a term Dharmakaya. And from that point of view, then definitely, you know, both nirvana and samsara is manifestation of that clear light mind. And so therefore, we can say that samsara manifests from, you know, like in our example, in the ordinary beings, you know, when we die, then all the gross mind dissolve and subtle mind dissolve, and then the most subtle mind, this clear light mind, manifests. And then again, when we take a rebirth from this most subtle mind, then clear light mind, then the subtle mind arises, and from that subtle mind, gross mind arises. And so therefore, and from that gross mind, then, you know, all the delusion arises, and then all the samsara delusion arises, and then samsara, that's how we started the manifestation of samsara. So it arises, manifests from that clear light mind. And same thing when someone's in light, when someone achieves nirvana, enlightenment, again, from that clear light mind, and then instead of, you know, they use that clear light mind in meditations to have a subtle mind that is not the subtle mind which has the ability to transform into virtues. And through that, then, even though there is gross mind manifesting, but instead of delusion, then like loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and wisdom realizing emptiness, those mind manifests. And through that, then enlightenment is being produced. And from that point of view, then again, you can see both nirvana and samsara manifesting from that state of mind. And so therefore, you can say that. But sometimes, most time, when we talk about Dharmakaya, the term is used to the Buddha's, you know, the Buddha's enlightened wisdom mind, as well as the ultimate nature of that wisdom mind. And if we use that term, Dharmakaya, for a Buddha's enlightened wisdom mind, then of course samsara cannot be manifestation of that. Samsara is not manifestation of that. So whether it's the Buddha's enlightened wisdom mind or the ultimate nature of that Buddha's enlightened wisdom mind, either way, when a lot of time we use that term for that state of mind and that the ultimate nature of that mind. And if we take from that point, take the Dhammakaya term, we apply to that, then it cannot, then samsara is not manifestation of that Dhammakaya. So again, I know it can be complicating. That is why sometimes it's studying important, because the terms are used very differently in different contexts, and sometimes we cannot take everything in same way, sometimes due to different, so sometimes Dhammakaya can be used in different, so I think maybe that is. And then I think maybe we go to the verses that we have left before. And then, in terms of training the ultimate awakened mind, then I think we just finish up to the remedy itself is released in its own place. And then next come place the essence of the path on the nature of the basis of all. So before this verse, then we do analytical meditations. Vipassana, analytical meditation, you do analysis, investigation. Once through that kind of investigation, analysis, Vipassana, then you come to certain conclusions, understanding of that emptiness, selflessness. Once you come to that state of, selflessness or emptiness, then you try to keep your mind in that state without any kind of investigation. So here, placement meditations. You place your mind, not investigating, analyzing, but just merely kind of being aware. You have that experience of emptiness, selflessness. You reach to that point through that meditations, come to that point where you cannot really find with that kind of analysis, the self, the external object, the mind, the emptiness itself. And so there's sense of selflessness, sense of emptiness. When that, then you just try to remain in that state without any thoughts, without trying to focus too much, just relaxing, barely being aware of that, being mindful and being aware of that, just staying in that state. So that is what, here, the basis of all, again, this is in Tibetan is called Kunshi. And again, that term is used so differently, again, in different, normally this term, Kunshi, Alaya, in Tibetan is a Kunshi. And here it is a translated basis of all. In Mind-Only School, they talk about 8 consciousness, and among the 8 consciousness, that is what they call this Alaya or Kunshi, the mind basis of all. But in middle way schools, they don't have that concept of 8 mind. They only talk about 6 mind. And then there's no concept of this, the Alaya or Kunshi. But also then in some of the tantric teachings, you find this same term used in a slightly different. And that is, sometimes they use this term not to referring to the 8 states, the eight consciousness, but referring to the more subtle mind, the clear light, more subtle mind. And again, as I just mentioned before, when we talk about Dhammakaya, because that is that most subtle mind, the clear light mind is the basis for everything. It is the basis for the samsara, is the basis for the nirvana, is basis for everything. So in that way, and also it's the basis that continue from life after life, carrying all the karmic seeds, karmic imprint. And so all the experiences that we experiences, which are result of our karmic seed, or which is based in that that mind, because that like the store, what do you call store, the right word, storage, storage where you have all the things inside. So carrying all the karmic seed, and so therefore that is the basis. But so for certain practitioners, more kind of advanced practitioners, they can utilize that more subtle mind, the clear light mind in meditation, and it's supposed to be very powerful because all the gross mind had dissolved. So when all the gross mind have dissolved, there's no more delusion manifesting. Not only there is no more delusion manifesting, even the others, any concept, thoughts also dissolve. By the state of mind itself, there's nothing to distract, because all these distractions are thoughts. In our meditation, when you have all these distractions, there's all a thought. So in that state, when all thoughts have dissolved, then there is no thought to distract you, and then that mind becomes extremely powerful. If you utilize that in your meditations, it becomes easy to have a direct realization emptiness very quickly, easily. But of course, it is not an easy kind of technique that anyone is able to utilize. It's not easy kind of, and so when we die, we go through that process, but most time we are not even aware of that. Forget about utilizing it. We are not even aware of that. And for some practitioners, they are aware of that. Maybe they might not be able to utilize it. And for very advanced or who have trained very well, then they might be able to utilize at the time of death when it comes up. And for some other practitioners where they are still kind of alive through certain technique, they are able to dissolve all the gross mind and subtle mind, and then to be able to have access to that more subtle mind and use that for meditation, because it's very extremely powerful. So it can be that, but for us ordinary who doesn't have that access to that clear light mind, in practical for us, how we do is we do that analysis, as some of the analysis that I mentioned, and then in many of the Indian scriptures and others, you find so many different ways of analyzing, in terms of investigating, analyzing, in order to understand the selflessness of the person or phenomena. And once you come to that conclusions of through that analysis, deeper analysis, the state of the selflessness or the emptiness, then you don't try to analyze anymore. You just experience that state. Simply just being aware of that state, that is all. Not having any thoughts. Forget about delusion, even not having a positive thoughts. Not even having a thought, oh, I'm meditating. Not even without having, oh, this is the selflessness, and I'm meditating on that selflessness. Or is me or my mind is meditating on selflessness. Without having any thoughts, any concept, any thoughts. Simply just being in that state of mind. Simply just being aware of it. Simply just being mindful of it. And so we do that, you try to do that meditations. And when you are unable to kind of stay in that state of mind because your mind started to distract it or something, or maybe even you are able to stay it, maybe there's no intensity. Maybe at the very beginning, there's some intensity, but later you just lose intensity, you know, and then it's just like kind of, you know, just thinking about like space, you know. It's not same, just thinking about space, nothing there, and through that kind of analysis, coming to that emptiness is a totally different, you know. And so through that understanding, then again, you try to have intensity while you try to just experience that. And then once you started to lose the intensity, you go back and do the analysis. And through that analysis, you come back to that state of emptiness, selflessness. And again, you try to remain in that, experience that state without analysis, without any concept, without any thoughts. Just trying to experience it. Bare awareness. And again, after some time, you know, sometimes we might be able to keep in that state for a few seconds or a few minutes. Then after that, either we get distracted, you know, our mind get distracted, or even when mind is not distracted, then our kind of intensity, we lose the intensity of that and become very kind of loose, and then almost feel like that, you know, just a space, you know, just meditating on a space. And so, you know, then because that is not a meditation on emptiness, just we give the example like a space, but it's not the same. And so therefore, again, you redo, and so that is how we try to do meditate. And so you combine the two meditations, analytical meditation and placement meditations. First, you do the analysis, analytical meditations, you come to the point, and then you don't do any more analyzing. You just experience that state without any analytical, just placing your mind by just simply being aware of that. Again, you do analyze and you come to that and combine that. And that kind of meditation, we try to apply it in all meditation, even when you do meditation on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind. To start with, we do contemplations in order to feel the suffering of others. If you are doing a meditation on compassions, you know, you try to think, contemplate on what it is to be in that suffering, that pain, and then you start to really feel their pain, understand and feel their pain as your own pain, and start to really feel unbearable and wanting to get rid of that. And so you need to do that kind of contemplations, and that kind of contemplation or a certain level of analysis, you know, even though it is not same analysis like we do the emptiness, but it is certain level of analysis, contemplation. And once you have that feeling, you know, that feeling, incredible compassion, wanting to get rid of that person's pain and sufferings or that sentient beings, then you don't do any contemplation, you just experience that compassion, hold on that compassion as much as possible. Experience, just simply experience that compassion. Barely being aware and experiencing that, and without any other thoughts, without any other concept, without other feelings, just try to. And again, in that way, you know, again, sometimes we get distracted, sometimes that feeling, which is very strong at the very beginning, then it started to lose the intensity of that, and there's feeling, but not really there. You know, it's very, very kind of very subtle, or very loose, or you know, not so strong. Again, you go through again, think about the suffering and pain of that, and then again you contemplate. And as you contemplate, again you start to feel more stronger and stronger. And again, when you have that strong feeling of that compassion, then again you try to keep in that without more contemplation, without more analysis, without any thought. You just try to keep. And we can do that kind of meditation to mostly all the meditation, except for in certain meditation, like when you are trying to develop shamatha or single point of concentration, then of course we don't do that kind of any analysis. You know, it's purely, you know, place placement meditation, stabilizing meditation, or absorption meditation, whatever you call it, but we don't do the analysis. On all other subjects, you do analysis, and then at the end of that analysis, then you try to meditate on stabilizing or placing meditations without any. And so similar here too, so that is what it. And then in the period between the session, be a creator of the illusionist, and so this is post meditations. So when you are, so that meditations, and we do the analysis and then not analyze and be in that state, experience in that state, that kind of meditation that we do on cushions, mostly on cushions, in meditation, in meditative state, in meditative sessions. Then of course, once we are out of that medicine, we have to engage in the world. We have to cook, we have to eat. You have children, you have to take care of children. You have animals, you have to take care of animals. If you have a job, you have to go and take care of a job. So we have to engage in our other activities. And so when we are in other activities, we can't be in a cushion and deep meditations. But then we bring that meditations that we just did into our everyday life. It is said for someone who have a strong meditations, if they have very strong meditation on emptiness, that is described what we call a space like emptiness, which we just described. When you have very deep and strong meditations on space like emptiness, when you come out of that state, for a lot of practitioners, when they are meditation very strong and deep, naturally everything appears like an illusion, like a dream. You see persons, you see your animal, but not so concrete and real as you used to feel like before, but more like a dream state. There is the cat, there is the dog, there is the person, but more like a kind of in a dream, like dream state like, illusion state like. And same thing, someone criticizes you. You hear the criticism, but the way you hear it is like you are hearing the criticism in a dream by someone else. Dream persons criticizing a dream, like a dream words in a dream state. And if you see your enemy, someone you have conflict, dislike, aversion, there is appearance of that person, but then it is not so concrete and so solid and so real as we do normally we feel it, but more like in a dream state like a person's. And so therefore, so when we have that appearance, natural that appearance, then we don't get so emotionally caught up so strongly that we get caught up, normally. When you see someone you dislike, have aversion, enemy, because we feel so real, so concrete, so real, and then our emotion much more stronger. It responds more strongly in terms of anger, hatred, in terms of harmful feelings, thoughts. And same with the object of attachment. Normally when we see something beautiful, pleasant, useful, beneficial, whatever, we feel that there's appearance so real, so concrete, so solid, and then grasping is more stronger. Also more stronger grasping, stronger attachments. But when you see, even though there's appearance of, pleasant and beautiful objects, even though there is appearance of, useful and good, but it appears more like a dream state. And because it's more like dream state, less solid, less real, so then you have, your grasping is less strong, less intense. Your attachment is less strong, less intense. And so that is how, the world has not changed. The external conditions have not changed. but the appearance has changed to some level. And because of that, our interactions emotionally has changed. And so then we have different response. The way we respond is much more gentle, not so strong, intense. Whether it's attachment, whether it's anger, frustrations, whatever, fear, whatever emotions, it is it become more light and less intense, less strong. But yeah, that happens, like some meditators, in dharamsalas, in India, where His Holiness is. There are many kind of meditators there who have spent their, life there. Some of them whole life, some of them 10, 20 years, and some of them share those kind of experience. What kind of experience they get? Not only is described in the teachings, in the Indian scriptures and earlier Tibetan masters, but even present, a lot of those meditators, they have also similar experiences. And His Holiness also shares some experience of like that, he's experienced some, I think one time in Ladakh, I think, he said, everything started to appear like a delusions. I mean, not delusion, illusions, like a dream. Everything started to just naturally kind of appear like that, And so, it happened. But for us, at least me, it doesn't happen that, it doesn't come naturally. That kind of appearance doesn't come because one, meditation is on space like meditation, not strong, or don't do meditation much, so therefore you don't have that kind of experiences. So then for us who doesn't have that experience, like myself, then we try to remind ourselves when you go and engage in the world. When you go and engage in the world, we try to remind, it is like a dream. It's like an illusions. Even though it appears so real, so solid, it is not how it is. It does not exist the way it appeared to me. It does not exist as real as it appeared to me. It does not exist as solid and as concrete as it appeared to me. Even though things appear so real, so truly, but that is not how things exist so truly. And so we keep on reminding ourselves that everything's like a delusion. When you have a strong experience, whatever experience, for example, it can be fear, it can be frustration, it can be impatience, it can be anger, it can be attachment. When it's strong, we feel so real and so concrete, and just reminding, hey, don't be so, reminding ourselves, we don't have to be so uptight about that emotion, about that thought. We don't have to be so uptight. We don't have to be so serious about it. And by reminding, even though you feel that, but it's just like a dream. And the moment you are able to remind and you are able to kind of see and feel a little bit like a dream, then it becomes less serious. It becomes less tightness. And you can become more kind of loosen up and more kind of relaxed. And it can be with experience, and you can do that with experience. It can be the object, the object, whatever object that is appearing in our minds that we are encountering, and so then that is where we try to remind, But just because it's like a dream, it is like an illusion, doesn't mean it's, whether let's say you are hiking and then a bear come attacking you. You have to run, protect yourself, and not think, is it like a dream? And that is going to not be okay, and just be there and you will be in danger, okay? So again, we have to understand that. So the point of seeing like a dream or like an illusions is so that our mind to be more relaxed, our mind to have less stronger grasping, clinging, holding so tightly, because it is that which make our life much more complicating and much more tense, because we tend to hold everything so tightly. We tend to hold everything so tightly. So so uptight. Even the small things we make it too serious. Small things we make it big. Things that you don't have to weight it, you make it so big, you weight it so much. On the other hand, if you have kind of sense of to be able to see more like dream state, even is a big problem, you can make it more kind of less complicated and can be not so much too strongly weighted, and your mind can be started to relax, and that. So I think this is the, so, and we try to remind that everything when you are cooking, you just remind, well, the actions of cooking is like a dream. The food itself like a dream in a dream. The person who is cooking is like a dream. While you are walking, you can also remind, the path itself is like a path in the dream. The person who is walking is like a person who is walking in the dream, and the walk itself, the act of walking itself, is like a walking in a dream state. And so but of course you have to watch your mind, your path, okay? Otherwise you can fall, okay? But it is helpful, as I mentioned. I like mountains. I like to walk and hike, and I do my prayers, and I do a lot of thinking about interdependent emptiness, analysis, what is walking, where is walking, who is walking, what is the path, going or coming, where is coming, where is going, is in my mind, is it in the path itself, is in the between, is it the first step, or is it the second step, or it is just, and so that kind of, it's interesting, and sometimes you see in a very beautiful places, beautiful nature, and again you can have clinking, wow. And then again, there's appearance of beautiness from externally there outside, from its own side. And then again, you try to analyze, where is that beautiness that you are, something that you are admiring, that you are kind of getting maybe attached to, and is the tree the beautiness? Is the meadow the beautiness? Is the sky beautiness? Is the lake the beautiness? And if it's just trees and there's no lake, there's no meadow, I don't think you will feel that beauty. If there's all meadow and there's no tree, you will not feel that beauty. If tree is there, meadow is there, the sky is not blue, is totally clouded, dark, it doesn't feel so beauty. It doesn't look beauty. Even the lake doesn't look beauty, it's a dark. Sky is there, then it lights up the light, and then it is so green or so blue, and then it looks more beautiful. So many causes. And then if you are very tired, if you are very tired, you wouldn't feel that beauty. You wouldn't experience that night. It also depends on your state of body, how tired you are. If you are tired, it can be just exhausting, and you think, why did I come here, You don't enjoy the beautiness. One time, I think 2010, 11, I went back to my village after 30 something years, And only after I left my village, that was the only time I went that time, and since I haven't been able to go again. It's a beautiful place, but it's hard to find the time because it is also not easy to get there. So anyway, I went with two of my friends, and we went to one of the lake, supposed to be one of the highest lake in the world and deep lake. And one of our friends was kind of struggling with his attitude and all of that, and so we were kind of trying to make decision whether we should go or come down, and that, and because he is so exhausted, especially I think because of the mainly from the altitude, and it was torture for him. It was torture to him. The other friend of me was enjoying, it's beautiful and that, and it was a torture for him. He couldn't enjoy the beautiness. For him, it didn't appear beautiness. It is not enjoyable. And he started to say, "Why are you coming here? It's nothing. Why are we exhausting ourselves? Why are you? It's just a lake." So this is a good example how we feel it, to see something beautiness and to be able to experience as a beautiness. It also depends on our state of body and state of mind. So then you begin to see, the beautiness is in the mind, then outside, or due to so many cause and conditions, as I mentioned, many cause conditions, the weather, the sky, and the mountains, the meadows, the lakes, the waterfalls, all of that, and then your state of body and your mind, state of mind, everything, and so then you begin to see, it's not same the way you felt at the very beginning. At the very beginning, you felt like that beautiness was there from its own side. Nothing to do with me, my mind, And so again, we can bring that kind of analysis that we do in meditations, even during when we are doing other things, everyday life, whatever you are doing. So sometimes I say, sometimes you struggle more to meditate at cushions, but you do the meditation while you are walking or while you are hiking, then it serves many purposes. You are doing the practice, meditations, at the same time, you are having some exercise and all of that. So then it is a physical and mental exercise. So I think there seems to be a lot of, I don't know, question or that there was 8 chats. So yeah, thank you. Nice to see from, I guess, Dawn and Jackie from Milerva. Do you lead guided meditations? Sometime, not all the times, one of the things I struggle with the guided meditations is because of my pronunciations, because of my lack of vocabularies, I struggle in my mind. I can't meditate well because in my mind, I have to think on how to say it. Because in teaching, I can sometimes when I don't know, I can ask the pronunciations, or sometimes I can't find the right word, then I can ask, I try to explain and then someone will come up the answer, the word, and I say, oh, that is it. Or sometimes that is not the word I'm trying to choose, and then they give different people come with different option. And But in meditation, you can't do it, then it will be so distracted. So it has to be very smooth in order to have a better, and that is one of the, there's a little bit of kind of struggles in that. Even in my mind, there's a little bit of struggles because even maybe people feel smooth, but in my mind, I don't feel like that I'm being able to lead kind of smoothly in that way. So, and yeah, sometimes I've led and I have done some that, but not very often, and that is also one of the reasons that of not being able to lead smoothly. And I feel that it should be more smooth in order to have so that you can kind of follow without being too distracted and trying to make yourself, sometimes you because you cannot hear the sound or pronouncing properly, then you, in your mind, you are trying to figure out what that means. So then you don't really feel it, and then that become another kind of things. I guess I need to use Donald Trump as my object of meditation because I certainly have an issue with this. Yeah, I think not only you, Susan, I think a lot of people have that issues, and definitely he can be the object of meditations. There's no doubt. He can be the object of meditation of compassion. He can be the meditation of the emptiness, all of that, Is the use of the word illusion, dream-like, meant to be an analogy for seeing things as not real, as in not assigning a fixed reality? Yes, absolutely, that is true. So in all the teaching, we don't say all are illusion. We don't say all are dream. We all say like an illusion, like a dream. Okay, so that is the reason why we use that kind of example, analogy, to see things are not so real as it appear to us. So that, as you said correctly, not fixed reality, the way it appeared to us, to us, the way things appear is fixed objectively from its own side. But as we analyze more, it's all relative. There's no objectively, it's all relative. There's nothing fixed, from one angles, from one it is small, from another is a big, from one is a good, from another is a bad. So nothing is so fixed as it appeared to us, and so fixed and as real as it appeared to us, but it is more relative, and so yeah, giving the example of illusion like dream like to understand that. So when the fear arises in my mind, I need to see this as a dream state, cause scared means. Yeah, I think, one way, it depends, different meditation might work for different peoples, and that is, again, we cannot kind of say any kind of meditation is equally effective for everyone's, the way our mind functions. So sometimes certain meditation was effective with for someone else, they might not find as effective. So that is another, so we do have to kind of try and see, sometime maybe meditating on, emptiness of the himself, emptiness of the, or sometimes meditation on your fear itself. Where is that fear? What is that fear? That I feel so real, so concrete, so strong. Doing meditations on emptiness, on the fear itself, sometimes can help you to overcome the fear. Sometimes you can do that same kind of analysis meditation on the person who is making us fearful. What is that person? Who is that person who is making us so fearful? Where is that person? What is that person? And And maybe we can say, you know, that person's behavior or certain actions or, you know, policy, whatever that is making us fearful, you know, that again, we can do same kind of analysis for that action itself. And so that basically, you know, we can use same kind of analysis meditations, and we can use to the person itself, we can use to the person's actions itself, we can use to our fear itself, we can use to the person ourselves who is fearful, you know, and so see, you know, see and try and see which is more effective. And sometimes we might have to do all of them, you know, so, and then maybe, agree with Christopher, would like to learn how to practice meditation on true emptiness. Okay. Would you be willing to step aside from the internal struggle you spoke regarding leading meditation? We'll practice more. Thank you. Understood. Thank you. Yeah. And also, you know, one of the things that I found in the West, you know, I think, or people's struggles is why I find why they struggle to meditate. Even the senior meditation or practitioner who have been studying for 10, 15 years without someone being guided. In our cases, we never were guided. None of our teachers did a guided meditations. You know, Dalai Lama didn't, I have received so many teachings, he never led guided meditations. All my teachers, they never let guide. They give you the instructions, then we go and follow the instructions. And if we have some struggle, then we discuss with them. And for me, that is more beneficial. Because when you're led by someone else, because you just have to follow their guidance, in some places you feel and you want to spend a little bit more time on that feeling. And you don't have time to feel that because you are following the next stages, that because he or she is guiding and now think this and now think this, and then sometimes you can't really feel it. You just go through that process. When you are by doing yourself, you go through the process, and when you start to feel it, you can spend more time on that feeling before you go to the next step, and it becomes more powerful. It becomes more powerful meditation when you do yourself, take your time, and then through that practice meditation, you come to a point when you started to really feel it, then spending more time to feel it instead of just kind of moving. Personally, I struggle more that I enjoy more when I take my own pace. When it's also with the retreat, I like to do individual retreat more than a group retreat, even with sadhana, because again, when a group, then there is the leader who lead and you just follow it. When I do myself, then in a certain area, I want to spend more time reflecting, contemplating, and then I can do that. But when you're doing group, then you can't do that. And so, and one of the things always, that is the one thing people always ask, even though we go through all the teaching and all the instruction, but then people, how to meditate? That always come questions, how to meditate? And we all just went through how to meditate with all this instruction, how to do it. And of course, also if you read it, is there, but I don't know why that struggle come from, where you need to be guided. Otherwise, if not guiding, you don't know how to meditate, even with getting all the instruction, all the teachings. As I mentioned, all my teachers, they never did any kind of guided meditation like we did here. They give you the teachings, instructions, you have questions, you ask them, and then when you do practice, and if you struggle something, and you can go and ask in the future, and like that, and I think maybe it's mindset. Maybe it could be your mindset, the way your mind said it. If in your mindset you feel like meditating means you need to be guided by someone else. I think that might be another. So anyway, I think, yeah, we have to stop here at the moment. Yeah, I mean, if it is helpful, meaningful, and if we see what happens in the futures. Okay. Okay, so then we'll do the dedications.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have to do the deep meditations on concentration here now. Can you go to Shanti Devas? Oh. May all living beings everywhere plagued by the suffering of body and the mind obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtues of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or evil fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, hunger find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drink. May the poor find wealth, those who with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all the medicine be effective and wholesome prayer bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever disease they are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightening cease to be afraid, and those bound be free. May the powerless find power, and may those people think of benefiting each other for as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. The wish granting, wish fulfilling jewels, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparable kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be responded and fulfilled. To Changshin Jamgan Jave, Tenzin Jompe, Kun So Topo, Choson Go, Le Mo to Da So Do Je Gun Do Sha. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Maybe one of the reasons might be why people struggles with that cautions. Maybe they have excuse not to meditate because there's no one guiding. Because there's no one's guiding and leading, so we don't know how to do it. So there is a really good excuse. Otherwise, you don't need someone to lead. You can do yourself, and you have time. You don't have to wait for someone to come and guide it, but that's just kind of joke, okay?